Bearcat Bounce Podcast. Back at it again. It's a beautiful Monday. Spectacular Monday. And all you know why, but it's also a Monday where I will no longer bury the lead and instead immediately welcome my pals and a very, very special guest. Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, Ryan Royer, and head men's basketball coach for your Cincinnati Bearcats, Wes Miller. Gentlemen, how are we?
Couldn't possibly be better, Brent. Couldn't possibly be better.
Wow, that's a ecstatic response. Best I've heard from you. Really. Good reason why.
Yeah.
Royer,
Let's do this.
Royer, how are we, dude?
I'm
You're
excited. Here. This is definitely gonna bring up some energy after a down weekend for the football boys. But I'm excited to have Coach on here. Get to know him a little more personally. It's been a good weekend now.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on as always, Chad. The work you do to cover Bearcat sports, man, it's awesome. It lifts up our programs, and so appreciate you. So I don't get on here enough for you. Just got to call and ask more, and I'll be on anytime you want. I also love that I look in your background right now, and I see Landers, Nolly, Duncan one behind you. I think that's Vic Locken in another picture.
Vic, yep.
So
Octavius Ellis right up above me.
Love it. I love it.
There's a couple more around here somewhere, but yeah, you know.
But good to be on. Good to be on with all you guys.
The question is, how's your day?
I share a room with my girlfriend, so I've got like a interesting painting here and stuff, different things right here. So don't worry. Other rooms have everything needed. Okay, Aaron, we understand. You're a little dungeon room there. Congrats. But Chad,
Coach, how's your day been?
It's been a good day, guys. It really has, and the news about Aziz is so great for him first. I think I've been very vocal about it. The effect this has had on him, it hasn't made sense. It's been very difficult. So thrilled for him first, thrilled for our team because it makes our team significantly better, and it's had an effect on our team. And thrilled all around about that. It's bittersweet though, right? Because Jameel Reynolds still hasn't got it. So that's what could be better for me, and so I think I'm not losing sight of that, is that there's still another young man that is one of ours that isn't cleared, and I feel for him, but it's one step in the right direction. And I think it's big news for our team going into our next game this week.
Yeah. Thanks, Tonk. As always, appreciate you, buddy, with the $55 donation in honor of Aziz getting cleared today. Take us through the scene when you get the call. I know there's a lot of uncertainty. We've talked about that. When you get that news, and Hunter, thank you as well, with the 1999. What's the scene like around the basketball offices when you find out that the NCAA has cleared Aziz?
Actually, we were in practice. So, Drew Adams, who's him and Chad Dollar, guys behind the scenes, have just been dealing with this on a day-to-day basis. Since the summer. Every day. When I say every day, they're in the weeds every day. And our compliance, Trevor Wright, Grace Kroner, they're every day dealing with this. Anyway, it's like not even abnormal now to be in practice and go, "Where's Drew?" Because I know he's taking some phone call, dealing with this situation. Yeah. So we were practicing, and as soon as practice ended, Drew, who wasn't there for 30 minutes randomly, again, that's gotten normal, which it shouldn't be, but comes and pulls me aside and tells me, and I was emotional. I was emotional because it's been a long process. It's been difficult, and I immediately feel it for AZ. And then immediately you think about Jameel, right? So that we were doing film in the locker room after practice. So we let the guys go to the locker room. I pulled AZ aside, which was really a special moment. And then, pulled Jameel aside before I talked to the team, because again, I think there's a silver lining here. There's a underlying issue going on here that I'm very sensitive to that. And it was so neat. Jameel was so happy for Aziz. Like, that's the kind of kids we got. I'm really proud of that. Like, when I told the guys in the locker room, it was really special. But Jameel was happy for Aziz, and that's pretty dang cool. And I'm still a little emotional about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously what was right, and I want to commend you for really fighting for what was right. It was obviously doing just the right thing is easy to do, but you did it a bunch and very publicly as well. So, shouts to you as well for that. But I want to ask Coach, just kind of right off the bat. Obviously, we got a lot of fans that know about Aziz, but what are you most excited about? What he brings down to the court starting on Wednesday?
Yeah, guys, he's number one. He plays with unbelievable energy. You think about John Newman. Like, when you watch John Newman play, his energy's infectious, right? You just feel it. I talk about his presence a lot, with our team. Like, John Newman has presence, and there's an energy about him when he plays the game. Aziz has that in his own way. He's just got an energy about him that you just feel. The things he does at an elite level, guys. Like, the things he does at a world-class level, and that's going to be fun for our team this year. His vertical threat and pick and roll situations, his ability to run the floor, his vertical threat from the dunker spot or down there on the baseline. It's amazing. And our guys have started to figure that out over the course of the summer and the fall. So he does this finishing is an elite level offensively. And then defensively, his ability to kind of cover ground and, block shots and alter shots and guard different positions. He again, the things he does at a high level. He's a much smarter player than I realized when we recruited him. I mean, he has a really high basketball IQ and knows where to be and knows where the ball's supposed to be. And, knows how to execute things. Is really smart defensively. So there's a lot of cool things to look forward to. And you know what? He hasn't been with us on the court in games in 6 competitions. The 2 scrimmages in our first 4 games. So it's not gonna be perfect. The first time he joins our team for a game, because we got to work out some kinks and figure out how he fits in. And he's going to fit in. We're going to make sure of that. But get our team to kind of adjust to having him, because he's such a massive piece. So it'll be fun. It's going to be fun to hear his name called when he enters the game on Wednesday. I'm excited for that moment for him and for our fans. I think our fans will be out to support us because it's a big game anyway. And then I think they'll want to show their love for Aziz. So that'll be neat. He's going to play with great energy. Our team will play with great energy. In fact, my concern will be, are we going to be too excited? And so we'll have to calm him down a little bit. But it'll be neat when we take the floor on Wednesday night and he gets out there.
I can coach offense with Aziz. Throw it to the top of the square. Tell the big fella to go get it.
It's pretty funny, Seamoss' foot's a little bit sore. Just nothing serious, but he's got just a little foot and soreness. And when I said to the team, Aziz will be playing Wednesday night. Everybody celebrates, and I heard Seamoss say, "I don't feel my foot anymore." I think the guys will be happy because, like I said, it's a team that pulls for each other, and they like playing with him.
An old coaching friend of mine, he coaches a couple thousand miles west of here, used to always say, you have to be able to dance all the dances. And how much does Aziz change that ability to dance all the dances? Because he is a menacing presence on defense. He's also, as we learned in Utah last March, as good as anybody going and catching the lob and scoring on putbacks. And from what I've seen in practice, he's gotten a lot better and developed that turnaround low post, like kind of hook shot. And you couple that with, you mentioned John Newman and what you have defensively so far this year and what you've shown offensively. How much does he change that when the equation of when you look at your bench and you go, and I can play a lot of different ways right now, potentially?
Yeah, a lot, guys. I mean, he changes it a lot. And Chad, you've been to some practices. He's just dynamic and versatile. and it's not just him. It's now, it helps other guys like Vic, who I think people see it now. He can shoot. Like Vic can really shoot the ball, guys. Well, now it gives Vic the ability to roam out there a little bit, and it's going to free him up to shoot the ball a lot more. But Odie's versatility defensively with Aziz's is really fun when you think about it. Like they both can guard multiple positions, 3, 4, 5, really. So it's like the combinations that we've thought about when we got this team together in the summer. Some of that looks possible now, and again, we're still missing one guy in Jamil because he's pretty dang versatile as an offensive player. So, but it changes a lot of things, and that like it'll be a process to figure that all out. But that's going to be fun, and I think our guys are going to enjoy that process. Like it's not like like with the other night I told Odie this. We're right now in our front court. I said this before the news today to him earlier. You get 2 fouls. I trust you like I trust anybody. Like I trust him as much as anybody I've coached to play with 2 fouls. But because of our front court situation, we just can't take that chance right now. Then Vic is legitimately can't come out of the game if he picks up a third or a fourth. Early in the second half. So I do think that it's going to help everybody in a lot of ways. I really do, all the way down the line. Hey, I'm going to do this, Chad, because my iPad's about to die. I'm going to go grab a charger upstairs, and I'm going to plug it in before it dies because I don't want to get shut off here. So give me about a minute.
Okay.
About a minute.
All right. We'll try and dissect the posters he has in the background here. Let's see.
Team posters. I don't know what that one. That one on the left is I guess maybe UNC Greensboro.
Yeah, I see UNCG.
Clippings.
Something.
Guys are creeping on his room, man.
Little press clippings. Gosh, should I hang my Cincy flag real fast? I think I got.
You might need to do. You look bad.
I look terrible.
You look bad.
Rory
might be just as
Rory,
bad.
you look the worst because you're not even wearing a Cincy shirt.
Oh, I'm wearing a
By the
Cincy
way,
shirt right here.
Okay, fine.
By the way, thanks to Connor. The technical wasn't yelling at the refs. It was Dan Skilling slapping the backboard, which you're not allowed to do. Dan talked about that in the post game. So that's not allowed. That was not Wes yelling at the refs. Thanks to Timmy. Appreciate you, brother. Been a long time. And thanks to Keith. Happy for Aziz and excited for the team and staff. Huge kudos to Bearcat Journal for getting Coach Miller live. It was almost your idea. Kind of.
Yeah, we'll give him all the credit. But shouts to Wes as well for living life, kind of on the wild side, like charge all the way down to 1% on the iPad. That's just
it was at 1 when I ran upstairs, and
that's life.
It takes like 5 minutes to restart once it goes dead. So now I tried on my laptop here. So I didn't want y'all to think I'm that unprepared, but it didn't work on the Safari browser. So maybe I need to download Google Chrome or something. But
Apple support is next on the call list.
Todd, $155 donation.
Thanks, Todd.
That's our biggest donation we've ever had. Thanks, Todd.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Todd. Much appreciated. Well, if you don't know, Todd was the original owner of this whole kit and caboodle back when it was called Bearcat Layer on Rivals. He was my boss. I was employee number 1.
Lord, I'd like to think about you being an employee, Chad. That's scary.
It is.
I'm a terrible employee. I don't listen to anybody for shit. Let's talk a little basketball. First 4 games. Coaches are never happy with anything, or especially early in the season, but it feels like for a team that has so many new parts and pieces, it feels like things are moving at a solid pace. I think is probably a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's all perspective, right?
Sure.
I can put my positive cap on, and I can point out a lot of things that I feel good about, and point out segments that you can see the things you practice out on the floor. You can see that the guys have ability, and each of them have kind of shown tidbits of that. And then I can put my negative cap on and tell you all the things that I'm not happy with, right? That the consistency's not there, some areas we got to be better, or some guys, that can play a little bit better. And I think that's probably every coach in the country right now. But all in all, this group right now to date, and it's got to continue. They come in the gym with the right attitude almost every single day. They don't seem to have any selfishness. Like, they all are really invested in winning. They're listening. They're pulling for each other. To date, they've been a lot of fun to coach. Like, I'm enjoying them, and that's the best thing I could say this time of year. If you want me to sit here and say we're everywhere we're supposed to be, that'll never happen. And if you want me to sit here and say I'm down in the dumps, I'm not. We're somewhere where we probably need to be as coaches. But I will say to date, and it's got to continue, they've been a lot of fun to coach. They're a really nice group of kids.
I don't think Danny was happy after they won a national title. Like, I think he still had stuff to complain about last year.
Yeah, that's coaching. We're always trying to get better, right? And but this group has a long way to go. I mean, we do. We have a long way to go to become the team we're capable of becoming. But it's not been for lack of effort or lack of want to or lack of try at this point. And that is what you ask for of a team. You ask for them the right attitude, the right approach every day. And again, if I'm really being honest, this group to date's done a nice job of that.
Metric-wise, you guys have actually done pretty doggone well at rebounding, especially defensive rebounding. What does Aziz just further add to that? And especially where, how you guys like to defend the three-point line, having Aziz, the ability to throw him back there, protecting the paint as well, that's got to be nothing but a clear added advantage.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely right. He impacts, he's a great rebounder on both sides, and he has great rim protection, and he's a great defensive player. So absolutely, yeah, it's going to impact both those areas. I like you, I look at the numbers pretty closely, and I have a staff that does a good job of that and reports it to me. So I know the numbers that you're, defense rebound percentage and all that kind of stuff. Right. I think with like any advanced analytics where you kind of stand nationally, it's way too early to look at them. I don't really pay attention to any of the analytical stuff probably till 8 or 9 games in, because there's just not enough data. I mean, like our offensive rebounding percentage 2 games or before last game was embarrassing.
Right.
But we're going to be a good offensive rebounding team. Like, we've seen that. It's after 3 games, it just wasn't fair. And then we had a great offensive rebounding night last night or yesterday afternoon, and our offensive rebound percentage jumps up, 70, 80 spots. Like, it's just so it's going to be volatile this time of year because we don't have enough data yet. But I do think we can be a very good rebounding team. We're going to emphasize that. And Aziz and then hopefully Jamil, they only add to that because that's strengths of theirs.
I'll get to Natalie here real quick. Has this process taught you anything or changed how you approach the transfer portal moving forward?
The process has taught me a lot. I've learned a lot throughout this process. I don't know if this process has changed how we'll view the transfer portal. But that's a tool. It's a tool that we got to use successfully at Cincinnati in the Big 12. And I think we have. I'm like very proud of our transfer class last year. I'm very proud of that. So we'll continue to use it and hopefully continue to be successful. But last spring, it was very successful. The spring before with Landers Nolly, I mean, I thought that was successful. And Rob Hennessy, I thought would have been really successful had he been healthy, So, yeah, I think we got to continue to use it successfully, but it won't be the only way we recruit. We're gonna value high school kids as well, as hopefully people have seen.
We'll get to that. Matt has really a great question. Will you wear a different pair of J's for every game? Will we ever see the same pair twice in a season?
No. I'm
actually more than 13.
I actually said that to Coach Morgan the other day. I said, "You think anybody's going to catch on to that?" I've worn 4 games, 4 different pairs. So I was wondering who's going to catch on to that. If that'll ever catch on. The players have caught on to it. They noticed when I walk in to talk to them, I saw a couple of them looking at the 4s I had on yesterday. But no, that's the plan. Is a different pair every night. The Jordan thing's so cool, isn't it? Like my college coach came into town. Gosh, last week was it last week?
Yeah, a week and a half.
Can't even remember now. This time of year, but he came into town in between our UIC and Detroit games for practice, and he talked to the team, and in the locker room, you know, he was wearing a North Carolina polo. It's pretty funny. He was wearing a North Carolina pullover, I should say, Jordan pullover, and he said, "I'm sorry, guys, but I don't wear Under Armour." And so, you know, only Cincinnati gear I have is Under Armour. And I said, "Well, Coach, we can change that." And we threw him some Jordan gear and he put it right on, you know, that type of thing. So it is cool, the Jordan thing, and we're all the way in, right? We're fully embracing the Jordan brand. They've embraced us. We're just all the way into it. And listen, putting on gear every day feels a heck of a lot better than it did the last 2 years. That's for sure.
What goes into picking the pair? Like, what
Well,
goes
it's
into
game
making
4.
the
He wore
Yeah.
4s. So
You're stealing my question, Chad. You got any picked
Yeah.
out for any games down the road, or is it kind of week of you're picking them out?
You got
I'm-
shootout shoes? That's what everybody wants to know.
Yeah,
I'm a shoe head, okay? I'm a shoe head, but I'm actually I let our Jordan rep and Andre Morgan, they're handling that. So they have a list probably already for the games, but so I couldn't tell you. I would show up to my locker before the games and they're sitting in there. So I'll know when you guys know.
Well, game 13 I've got circled because Jordan 13s are my favorite. So that's Evansville. So we'll see if we can rock those.
All right, we'll see. 13. I wore the ones on our first game. I thought that was like well thought out by Coach Morgan. I thought that was well done.
It's like Christmas every game for you, Coach. That's awesome.
There's a lot of perks to being the head coach of the Bearcats now. I will never deny that.
You're wrong.
I love it.
Want to go back
So
a little bit? Yeah.
Are you liking wearing Jordan ones over the Steph
truth
Curry?
is, Chad, like the truth, guys, is like the university, when they offered me a contract, they probably could have got me for just Jordans. Like they don't tell them that. It probably hurt my negotiating power if I ever have it in the future, but they probably could get me for just gear if they wanted. That's I care about that more than money. That's for sure.
Ryan.
I was gonna say, are you liking wearing the ones over some Steph Currys from last year? They might be a little cooler.
I love. Everybody knows me. Knows it shouldn't matter, but I love the Jordan stuff for sure.
Timmy wants to know about Seamoss's torn up red shoes. What's the story?
Those were Jordan shoes too, but I'll tell you what. It doesn't make any sense to me either, Timmy. We've given him plenty of pair of shoes. I'm not the only one that gets gear, but he's had them for 3 years, and he just loves them, and he loves the way they feel. But they got rips and holes, and you will not see those again. So it's not a secret. His foot was bothering him today. Okay, nothing serious here. My gosh, you guys out there, I got the greatest job, and I love working with these young people. It really is awesome. But some days when you work with 18 to 22-year-olds, guys, I mean, it's like, come on, man, shoes? Like, really, you're playing in torn shoes? So, that was an issue in the last game for sure.
I obviously a ton goes into recruiting, especially out of the portal. But are you a little bit like the fan in me myself when I'm watching, Bearcats against Utah Valley or watching Bearcats versus Temple, and I'm seeing Jamil banging down low. I'm seeing Aziz blocking things and dunking on the other side. Are you kind of a little bit like, wow, if 55 enters the portal, we gotta look into that a little bit?
Not necessarily. I don't think when you're playing that's what you're thinking about. But I do think this, when we get into the spring and guys do enter the portal, when you've played against them, you just have such a different perspective. Like it's such a different evaluation. Like you've not only seen it up close and personal, but you've tried to break their games down in scouting. And then if they're really effective players like Aziz and Jamil, you've also tried to figure out how to counter them or stop them, and then watch them kind of deal with that. So your point of knowledge is just so much different than watching tape of guys that you haven't coached against.
Go.
What was that initial reaction to seeing Aziz on tape?
Yeah,
I'll never forget it. Like I talk about it all the time. I'll never forget the first time I watched Utah Valley, they played on television against Colorado the round before we played them in the NIT.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hadn't had a chance, and I can't remember why, but I hadn't had a chance to watch any tape yet. So that was the first time I watched them, was the live game it was ESPNU, I think, against Colorado up here in my living room. And I remember calling I think Coach Adams had the scout. I remember calling Drew or somebody on the staff like after the first 8 minutes and being like, who the heck is this center for Utah Valley?
Why do they have an alien?
If you didn't know which team was the Pac-12 team and which team was in the conference, Utah Valley, I think they're in the WAC, but which team was in the WAC, you would have thought it was vice versa because of Aziz and his presence. And then as you dove in, you realized they had a lot of really good players, and those guys have transferred to other high major programs as well. And that's not a knock on Tad's team at Colorado, but he didn't have anybody in the front court that looked like Aziz, and it really stood out. And then seeing him in person and the impact that he had when we played them last year in the first half, I'll never forget it. He's the only guy I've ever coached against that made me change our ball screen coverage away from the ball screen in a game. You know, how we kind of deal with the ball screen with the three other guys, not the guys at the point of the screen. In 12 years as a head coach, I'd never had to do that before. And he made us do that in mid-game. And that says a lot. We played against a lot of really good big guys. I mean, Jalen Durham was pretty good rolling to the rim now. We played against Memphis. So, you know, I was amazed with him live, even more so than on tape.
Yeah, he's got that F-it. Aziz is down there somewhere. Just toss it up to the rim, and he'll figure out and go get it. So,
it's guys, it's not just – I think our guys I don't know if they could verbalize it this way or not, but I think they know it. It's not just his ability to jump and catch a lob. It's the timing, you know, his feet. It's like the feel and the timing along with the athletic talent. You know, he's got a really nice feel for the game.
I'll tell you what I posted. I said at one point that I think it was the second scrimmage. And there were two balls that looked like they were thrown into orbit, like two lobs that were just horrendously bad. And then here he comes, just elbows at the rim, catching it at the top of the square and dunking it. It was like, oh my God, like those look like the worst lob passes I've ever seen. And here he comes, and just like he does it regularly.
Yeah, you know, when he got here in the summer, the guys were underthrowing him, you know, and I just kept throwing him bounce passes, and it's like I kept telling the guys, I hope you try to overthrow him. Yeah, I think that's like I would try to. If we overthrow him, we'll live with that turnover. And we started approaching our summer practices like that. And it was funny because guys after practice go, Coach, I thought I really overthrew him. And he still went and got it. So I think that helped our guys, you know, I think amazed our guys a little bit that they can, if they're going to throw a lob to Aziz, we'll live with them overthrowing it, but don't underthrow it because he can go next level to get it now.
Ed wants to know real quick, cement threes or bread fours? He's getting a pair soon.
That's like a you can't go wrong type of question, right? Like, you know, six one way, half a dozen the other. The threes feel better on my feet, even though I love the way the fours look. So I just love the cement threes, but either of them work for me.
There we go. Has there been anything go ahead.
Sammy wants to know who benefits the most from Aziz playing. That is an easy answer. Wes Miller. You're gonna look like a better coach Wednesday night, Coach.
That's true, but good players make you look like you know what you're doing out there. That's for darn sure. And none of us are good enough to look like we know what we're doing without good players. So the lesson is you better appreciate your damn players. And we're fortunate to have some good ones here. But no, it's a really good question with probably a really bad answer, and I'm not trying to dodge it. Everybody will. I mean, everybody. If you look at the front court, it does take so much pressure off of Odie and Vic right now that they like literally, you know, we're so nervous about every foul the last 4 games, and you know Vic has to play stretches at times with Odie's foul trouble that is, you know, just not good for him or our team. And so it's going to help them tremendously, right? You look at the guys that are in the most pick and rolls. I mean, it opens up their decision making to make it cleaner. You look at the guys playing around those pick and rolls. It's going to open up things for them to play around it because of the attention that it'll draw. And then defensively, he's like John. He's going to cover so much ground. John, sometimes you watch tape with the team and like you have three guys making an error on a defensive possession, and John covered up all three guys at the same time. And Aziz has the ability to do some things like that, which makes everybody a little bit better. So I think it's going to impact the whole team in a positive way.
Yeah, this is obviously like an unprecedented time as far as the whole scenario that's gone down or anything. Have you seen anything from your team or from Aziz that kind of shows you a different side of them through this adversity and overcoming it as a squad? Has it kind of in a way brought you guys closer through the hardship?
Yeah, I think shared sacrifice always brings groups together more, right? Like that's a real thing, and we talk about it a lot in our coaching circles. We certainly do as our staff, that in the summer and the preseason, how do you kind of create real adversity so that guys can bond around that? Like we try to do, Jad's been to enough practices. Sometimes we make practice very combative for that reason, right? It's intentional. And then adversity finds you naturally. And if you have that right approach, when you get to the other side of it, usually you're a better team for it. And fans don't like to hear this, but sometimes the most difficult times are the best times for growth in a program. And we'll have some difficult times this year. If we handle them the right way, we'll be way better for it when it's over. So you need that. Every program needs that. This was not adversity we wanted. This has been difficult on kids' lives. It's not basketball adversity. And watching the kids be there for each other has been really neat. And I'm telling you guys, Aziz and Jamil, they're like really good kids, like really special kids with good hearts. And what's even been neater than watching the other kids be there for them is watching them go through this difficult time and continue to have great attitudes and support their teammates. Like that's been really neat. Not once, and I've had some days where it makes me almost cry how hard this has been on them because they just don't understand. And not once have they let it affect anything in a practice or a team situation. And there's been some days where I know that they felt like they couldn't keep walking in the same direction, So, yeah, that's been pretty neat. And that's the cool part about being on teams. I say it all the time. Since I was, I don't know, 5 or 6 years old, I've been on a team every year my entire life. That's a great blessing. Like, teams are neat, and when you have the right people, they're really, really neat. And we got the right kind of people right now.
We had a great question from the mailbag. Go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
I was just, what strikes me is, one, when I watch you guys play, I feel like every year they're just playing better and better together. And then you have two transfers come in and you kind of see they embrace your guys' brotherhood and culture right away. And I think it's a great sign of the culture that you and your coaches have been building. And, curiously, I'm wondering, has there been any like major steps this year where you felt like your team really took that next step in their culture and kind of like their camaraderie together? Because every time I watch your guys play, it really jumps out to me. And then you tell me the story about how Jamil is there for Aziz right when he gets the news, and how all the team is just super excited for Aziz. But, they didn't even really know these guys a couple months ago. So is there anything that you felt this offseason that your team is really taking a next step in that camaraderie aspect?
Yeah, it's a good.
And first, just so you know, Wes, first, that's a question from Mr. Bearcat. Mr. Bearcat winner, Ryan Royer.
Yeah.
Well,
Ryan played a couple years for Luke. He left one on the table.
Well,
yeah, you need some screen setters. I'll do a 6-year for you. Maybe that's about all I can do for you.
Come on, box out.
Come on, Ryan. Your teams were so good. You could play for us and help us with some culture. It was like the first thing I noticed when I got here was, the culture of your teams is like the type of thing that you strive for. So I'm really proud that I was here for some of that. But no, it's a really good question. I don't think there's some major defining moment that I would point to, but I do think there's been a concerted effort to try to bring this group together quickly. And it wasn't like we've been tricky. in our first meeting in the summer, we talked about it. We just said, hey, listen, we got 7 new faces. Now we got some returning guys that have been through it and are here for the right reasons. So that gives us a real chance now. The Odies, the Vicks, the Johns, the Dans, the Joshes, like you keep going down the list, the CJ Anthony's, like those guys give you a chance because you're not starting from scratch. You got some guys that have been building it, and they can carry on what David DeJulius was about, right? And Landers Nolly and all that kind of stuff. So, like, you have some foundational guys, you bring in new faces. And we said, hey, we can't not be the team we have to be because this group doesn't get connected. And now we got to do that as quick as humanly possible. So if I was a player, the first question I'd ask is how. I just want to say I'd ask how. Well, how are we supposed to do it? Every possible way we can. We got to make intentional effort every day to build relationships on and off the court. We got to take advantage of opportunities to spend time around one another and enjoy it. And I think this team's done that, whether it's the way we approach practice or film sessions. Again, it's all at this point. It doesn't matter if we don't keep doing it. But this team's done that. I thought our trip to Chicago was great because we got to see each other in a little bit different. We had some fun and got away from hoops a little bit and got to see each other in a different light. But I don't think it's just been one moment. I'll tell you what's been great, and now I'm just kind of ranting and raving here, but
let it fly.
What's been great is our new locker room. Like it's
that was my next question. Yeah.
It's awesome, and it's not even done yet. It's like we moved into a new house, but we haven't decorated it yet. So it's like I don't even want to show it to anybody yet because we got work to do to get it right. Mm-hmm. But they now have this facility in our building where they can hang, and it's just theirs. And so I walk through there every day. I'm so proud of it. And when I walk through, guess what they're all in there doing? They're hanging. They're sitting around the couch. They're sitting around playing video games. They're sitting in the locker room talking to each other. Like a couple of them say, I don't go home anymore during the day. I just come to the locker room. And like that's an example of, okay, a flashy locker room, and we got a dang good one now. It's pretty dang cool, guys. About as good as anywhere in the country. Yeah, that's not the most important thing, but a place that they want to be during the day where they can naturally interact, that's priceless. And that's been another small example of how they're getting to know each other.
I can tell you specifically, and you might remember this. Remember Nick Ward? Played at Michigan State, was from Ohio, center.
Sure, big kid. Yeah.
I played against him.
Really, in football?
No, in basketball.
Oh my God.
We scrimmaged against him, and I tried to go at him, just being the dumbass that I was. Just tossed me to the ground. We started a brawl in the middle of the scrimmage. So yeah, I remember that. I remember him nice and well.
You remember that name immediately.
He's 6'9".
I know him because he was a body, dude.
So he visited Michigan State on one night, and then the next night, and this is before the arena was redone. This is the old locker room that, had been there forever. And basically, from what the story I was told, Nick Ward walked into the locker room after the game, after being at Michigan State the night before, and was essentially just like, no. Like, it's where you spend all your time. It makes a massive difference to have a place that you're comfortable, that you're going to have to be in and around, a large portion of your days.
Who's the best dodgeball player, Coach?
We had a good time. Guys, we had a good time. We worked our butts off in Chicago. We got a lot of basketball done. We had great practice. We had fun. Ryan, I'm not going to say that's the reason we've come together quickly, but it was a fun weekend. Dodgeball was awesome. Let me tell you, Coach Dollar wasn't very good. We'll start right there. Trying to think here. Day was pretty good.
He could play some
Dan
dodgeball.
Skillings was really good. And I'm going to forget somebody and feel bad here, but Josh Reed was pretty good. Let me think. Jamil was pretty good. Jamil Reynolds, he can move, guys. Like, he can move. He was pretty good. The foreigners, they weren't any good. None of them.
They never even heard of dodgeball before.
No, they weren't.
Show them the movie with Vince Vaughn and see. This is what you gotta learn.
But it was, and I'm forgetting some guys, but it was fun. I remember Dan and Josh were on my team, and we won, by the way. But I remember feeling like we had to keep them out there to win, that type of thing. So that was a good time.
They were using you as a shield.
he's like, you can get around. You can dodge that, you know. You
I can move a little bit. I can't throw it like I used to, but I can move a little bit.
Connor wants to know, what was your impression of Big 12 Media Days and your mark? And do you have any places you're most looking forward to play in with your team?
I was blown away with Brett Yormark. All the interactions I've had. He's been to our campus twice, and I've interacted with him here. We had
Rucker Park.
Yeah, Big 12 meetings. He wasn't at Rucker Park for that event.
Oh, I thought okay.
Big 12 meetings a couple times now. I've been able to interact with him. Or maybe once he wasn't there the first time. He's the real deal, guys. Sometimes you just get around people and they give you a feeling that they have great leadership and they're on top of it and they think out of the box and differently. He's what we need in 2023 in a Power 5 conference. He's on top of it. He's on the cutting edge. And I love that he just tells it like it is. And he doesn't do it in an offensive way. He listens to people. He gives coaches a voice. Certainly in that room, with the coaches in that room, I'm not going to be a loud voice. We'll have to earn that. But he listens to those guys that have earned that. And then he's very candid about what he thinks. I just have such respect for him, being around him to date. And Big 12 Media Day was first class in every way. Everything I've done with the Big 12, it's first class. And it's great that we're a part of the Big 12. We belong in a first class conference at UC. That place I'm most looking forward to playing.
Bog, come on.
Have
you played there?
We coached there once when I was at Greensboro. We took a team there and played well. Weren't able to hang on, but it's a special basketball experience. I've been fortunate to have coached and played in a lot of really neat environments over the last 20 years. It's up there. So, but it's not like I'm looking forward to one place more than the other. I mean, every place in the Big 12 is going to be a challenge. I mean, every place has a great atmosphere. Every place sells out. Every place's students are going crazy. We got to make sure Fifth Third's like that. We got to rock. But so it's not like the one place and the other. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. It's going to be challenging.
I had a question from the mailbag I did want to get to, which I think is a really good one. Are there any ways that playing without Aziz the first 4 games, plus the scrimmages, might have made this team better in the long run now that he's joining you?
Yeah, I'm not that deep of a thinker. My gosh. I mean, the way I think about it, and Ryan was an athlete, he'll understand this. So we just got to get better today. And then we got to wake up tomorrow and get better tomorrow. I mean, honestly, I've gotten a lot of peace of mind thinking of it like that, not trying to overthink things. I think in this job and in athletics, when you overthink, then you can drive yourself mad. And I'm going to try to stay sane here as long as I can. But so I don't know. I'm sure in some ways, sure. Yeah, I'm sure. In some ways, sure. But I don't think about it that deeply, even though it's a very good question.
I know we've kept you far too long. I know you got a lot to do. I don't want to. Brent will ask you questions all night.
I'll keep you here until midnight, man, and then we can watch some b-ball afterwards. So
I love you guys.
There is a game Wednesday.
I love you guys. I got to get to some tape tonight, and I haven't eaten yet. So my food's been waiting upstairs for me, so I'm gonna go eat. But
real quick, can I get one more in from the chat? I think it's he's local. A lot of people want to know, want to talk about it, want to hear about it. Rayvon Griffith, he hasn't played yet this year. You have talked about it. You have said it's a matter of winning his way into the rotation. Just let people know, Ray is an incredible kid, incredible human. The adversity doesn't strike me as something that moves him a lot. Like, he seems to be a guy that looks forward and knows what he's got in mind.
He's awesome, kid. Like, not good. He's awesome. I mean, awesome. Joy to be around. Worked him out today. He is awesome. And if there's one thing I'm sure of, like, sometimes, talent's talent, right? Ray has talent. You get here in the summer, you coach him. Okay, we didn't make a mistake there. You get him through the fall. He's got talent. But you really learn about somebody when they get challenged a little bit. And the way Ray has responded the last couple weeks, like, I'm now convinced he will be a great player at Cincinnati. Convinced about it. It's just very clear, guys. You just got to do the right thing for the right reasons, regardless of if it's popular or not. I really believe that. I had a college coach that showed me that kind of conviction on a day-to-day basis. And so I feel like I've been raised the right way by parents and coaches in that way. But, if he's not going to break the rotation and play significant minutes, you're not going to burn his opportunity to have another year of eligibility. I mean, just by throwing him out there, like regardless of how much people want to see him. And I want to see him out there too, but that long-term is the wrong thing to do. I think if you asked David DeJulius last year if he was glad he had that extra year of eligibility, I don't think he'd trade it for anything. I really don't. And I think you kind of keep going down the line with guys. Like I think you've asked John Newman right now if he was glad he had this extra year eligibility, he wouldn't trade it for anything. And so I'm not trying to hold Ray back, but if he's not going to break into the lineup and play significant minutes, then I don't want to burn that by just throwing him out there for 2 or 3 minutes. I don't think that's fair to him long term. And especially knowing that I do believe he's going to be a great player. Now, eventually you got to make a decision, and it's not fair to keep, leaving it up in the wind. And we'll do that shortly, but I also want to give him a time to make sure it's the right decision. And so I know it's not, I don't like it publicly, and I don't like the pressure, being in the hometown and all that for him and his family, but we got to do things for the right reasons. And I think we're doing this for the right reasons.
Tyler, real quick. That's all I promise. Last thing.
Oh, well, you got to talk about the
Tylers.
Tylers would perk me up because I'll probably call both of their butts here. Shoot, Chad, you keep me on later. I'm going to miss my recruiting calls. But, Tyler.
I promise, last one.
Yeah, Tyler, we'll start with Tyler McKinley. Man,
talk about a great kid. Holy crap.
Both of them, right? He's a terrific kid, but he's really good, guys. And I'm hoping our fans will go out to see it themselves this year because he's right here locally at Winton Woods. So go watch him play. He's not a guy that's like, out doing a bunch of crazy stuff. He's pretty low key, but he likes the support on the basketball court. So go out and support him. At Winton Woods this year, they got a nice team. So he'll have a heck of a year, but he just keeps coming physically. Like he's always been really smart and really skilled. His shot's getting better. But he's just physically just keeps taking jumps, right? Like he's getting above the rim. He's rebounding at a high level. At NBA Top 100, he was one of the best bigs there. There were some dang good ones. And I thought physically he looked the part. That was pretty neat to see him amongst the best players in his class. And Tyler Betsy, he's coming. He's like just scratching the surface. And he's 6'9" and he just shoots the heck out of it, guys. Maybe as good as anybody in his class. Probably the best catch and shoot shooter in the class. He's longer than he is tall. And now he's starting to get explosive at the rim. Like the last time I was there watching him, he turned one over and dunked it with his left on somebody in practice. And I went, oh, I knew that was coming, but I hadn't seen it yet.
I didn't see that in the summer.
Yeah, and so it's coming, right? And the thing I'll say about both of them that I'm excited about, they love ball. Like they love it. They're ate up with it. They love working. They're coming here for the right reasons, right? And that's pretty neat for our program moving forward. So two big-time players that we got here this fall.
Coach, thank you so much. Go eat. Go get ready for Georgia Tech on Wednesday night, and we'll do this again when Jamil gets cleared.
I appreciate it. Let's be rowdy on Wednesday night in Fifth Third. You guys can lead us there. So
you didn't catch my end part.
Yeah, if Jamil gets cleared, that'll be the best I can feel. We get both of them because they both deserve it. So
we'll see you back here that night.
All right, boys. Go Bearcat.
Thanks,
appreciate you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, look, I'm going to tell you something right now. There's 0 chance I'm talking about that West Virginia game after that. Nope.
That's actually going to be our next topic. We're going to feed right into it.
I'm not doing it. I'll leave. I'm done.
I ain't got shit to say. I didn't watch the game.
We're not going to talk about that right now. Let's go ahead and timestamp the West part. We're not talking about the Mountaineers, guys. Come on. Those country
We're not talking about it all night. I'm saying for good.
Those country roads were already taken home, guys. Let's go ahead
I
and
guess
time
one question I have for you guys. What was worse, the 600 yards?
Royer, we'll talk about it
later.
Navy,
Later.
We'll talk
Quick
about
Paper
it
Supply,
later.
your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next-day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of services.
Boom.
I just want to say, Wes, thanks a million for coming on tonight. And what other podcast, not in Cincinnati, in the country, on a day with news like today, 2 hours later, they've got the head coach on for 50 minutes. He didn't stop by.
Yeah.
He went and got his iPad charger up out of his room and set up shop. His dinner is cold.
He could have said, I gotta go. He could have said, I gotta go. My iPad's about to die. I gotta go.
I'm not certain he ever warmed up dinner. I think dinner was always still cold. I think it's just in the fridge waiting to be warmed up.
I think what he meant was that the DoorDash was outside and it was starting to get cold.
Yeah. I ordered DoorDash. It was supposed to be here 30 minutes ago. It got here 30 minutes ago. And I'm still talking to you assholes.
It's starting to get cold, is what he was saying.
Cold outside.
It's cold outside. He's still going to open it. It's still going to be pretty hot. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. But you know what, guys? Chad, you're right.
I'm fired up.
Well, yeah, obviously. You know what? I haven't bit my tongue.
I don't even care about football right now.
We were ready to dive in.
Not even a little bit.
Right.
I got nothing.
Right. We'll get to it later. But you know what I gotta say? Yes, Chad, that was awesome. Absolutely awesome. But I gotta read this. The day I have long dreamt of has finally come. I am grateful that the NCAA has reconsidered my case and granted my immediate eligibility. First off, Aziz, the day that I have long dreamt of has finally come as well. So yes, I agree with you there. I am most thankful for my teammates, our coaching staff, administration, and fans for continuously supporting me. Ohio is my American home, away from home. I cannot wait to make my Cincinnati debut and give this program everything I have. Go Bearcats. Aziz Bandago is officially cleared and ready for action. Guys, I mean, shoot. We had Wes on. He was excited. All of us are now on, and I tell you what, it's hard to contain the amount of excitement that I've had today when that news came out, and I'm still struggling to control it as well. But first off, hats off, big time. You know, you got to really feel happy for Aziz. Big time, got to feel happy for Aziz, and that's the main thing to take out of all of it. But I mean, you got to really also look. You know, huge shout out to Wes, huge shout out to Cunningham. Huge shout out to everyone that really dug in and didn't give up on this. They were hammering it every opportunity that they could. And I think that went a long way in making sure that the right thing did finally eventually happen. But guys, Aziz is eligible. And I mean, shoot, let's just go around the horn. Thoughts. Excitement is up. Thoughts. Golly.
I'm just glad that your camera's above the waist, Brent, based on the excitement that you've been detailing here. I think it's good for everyone watching.
Me too. Golly. Well, thoughts other than that?
I'm excited, man. It seems like he's gonna fill like kind of that one piece, that interior defensive rim protection presence. We've seen it been like it needed to be a little bit better. I think a lot of people would be able to say that. And just hearing like Wes talk about how Aziz was received by his teammates, and it just more momentum for a team that's already got a lot of momentum going. I think this is going to be extremely helpful for them when it comes to conference games. So I'm excited. I think it's more downhill momentum for this team.
Yeah. Aaron?
Well, I mean, you just added an alien, like it's a super secret weapon, essentially, to this offense and defense. I don't think I could be more excited. We were excited when they got recruited here. I don't think I could be more excited that we're going to get to see them now instead of having to wait until late January, late December, early January when I was expecting it to happen. But in any case, one down, one to go. Look, at the end of the day, I don't think the NCAA is trying to go to war with anybody because they don't win. And this is another example.
Yeah. All right. Chad, break down your day, man, because I tell you what, it's been a long time coming. It's been something that has, like, really, because you watch this team through the first 4 games and you see flashes, you see moments and certain segments of each game where you're like, wow, I mean, this squad is pretty doggone good. They're might have one thing that they needed here, one thing that they needed there to take them to the next level. Well, they just got a pretty massive doggone thing added to it. But Chad, your day to day, as you slowly got the news, slowly were able to bring it all in, think about it, make your phone calls, this, that, and the other.
In the end, it happened fast. Like it had gotten to the point where, like, there's only so many phone calls you can make every day to ask the same question that doesn't have an answer.
Mm-hmm.
And then late this afternoon, they're like, the ground started to rumble a little bit. And then I got a text, I guess about 10 minutes before I was able to put it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then got the go ahead. And I guess as I was tweeting it, a national guy beat me by like 30 seconds, which sucks. So kudos to Jonathan Giovanni that works for ESPN. He got me by like 30 seconds. But the reason I didn't credit him is because I was getting the information and typing the tweet. And I guess he got his phone call a couple seconds before me. So, but that was, I was dealing with the transfer portal and football and gathering information on where that process is at. That was actually probably the larger portion of my day. And then the Shaman news hit, and, you're not in scramble mode because it wasn't a shock, but like you're, still making sure you've got the information right, making sure you go through the process that we have to
proper channels.
You can't gather info from one side. It's just not, if you gather info from one side, you end up predicting Travis Perry to Cincinnati simply because your school doesn't think they're going to get him. And that's what you saw on those, crystal balls that happened. If you look, they were almost all from people that covered other places that he was potentially going, and they're getting word that he's not going there. And I really do think it came down to Cincinnati and Kentucky, because Ole Miss and Alabama were telling, like, their reporters, their insiders knew he's not going to either of those places. So that you have to work the proper channels, which I was doing. I had to do on Aziz as well. But I mean, the Aziz one, like, you've talked to so many people about it that there's one or two people, like, if they say it's clear, you're like, all right, boom, straight to the internet.
Right. Yeah.
And then my dog, the puppy got away for about 20 minutes.
That's when you allow
through the neighborhood.
You just allow it to happen. After this news, you allow it to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Then I had dinner, and now I'm here.
Yeah.
I scheduled Wes Miller for this podcast in the middle of that too.
Hey man, baby. I'm going to take everyone back to Saturday, March 18th in 2023. The Cincinnati Bearcats were playing pretty doggone well in the second round of the NIT. They took down a pretty fair opponent in Hofstra in round 2. 79-65. Good cover of the spread as well. Good team to win. Great team to cover. And all of a sudden they had to face the winner of the Colorado-Utah Valley game, and that came on Sunday. It came on Sunday the following day. And
there's a great question in the mailbag I can't wait to get to, Aaron.
On that Sunday, I was introduced to Aziz Bandaogo, and I tell you what, it slowly opened my eyes to how good certain players are. Because I mean, you look back at that Utah Valley team, and this is something that I think is pretty prevalent as well in today's Bearcat team. Is they had 3 really good guards that took a bulk of their shots, that all had different moments going off for 20 plus points, and all had different moments of being the primary scorer. And then you had Aziz, who was just the ultimate supplement, if you will, to every single one of them on every single night. And I think that just fits seamlessly into this team as well. But man, he had like 12, 7, and 2 blocks in that game against Colorado. But like Wes said, he looked like, it looked like Utah Valley was the Pac-12 team, and Aziz was the defensive player of the year in the Pac-12 during that game. It was just unbelievable. And then we all remember what Aziz did against Cincinnati, that Wednesday. And throughout the entire game, it was just like, wow, 55 is amazing. And then, of course, I did the pregame preview of Utah Valley, and I was blown away by this guy, just watching his highlights, just watching different games he was in. It's pretty doggone good player. So when finally the word dropped today that he was eligible, it's safe to say I was very excited and immediately drawn to the upward trajectory of what this does to the already strong team that we currently have. So
you should check with the doctor if that excitement lasts for more than 4 hours.
You know what? The news came out around 5. I probably should consult.
Just
probably start to consult. But actually, one of my friends, Bucky, actually texted me saying, he was so excited that he almost got in a crash. Well, guess what? If he did get too excited, and he did maybe, get in a crash or swerve a little bit and get a little damage, guess who also was excited and would also love to talk about Aziz Bandaogo? That's right. Danco Joe would like to talk to you about a little bit of excitement. He'll also fix your car. Danco Transmission and Auto Care. We just had to throw you in, Danco Joe. We love you, Joe. Mention Westfield. Mention Aziz. Mention Chad. Mention Aaron. Mention Royer. Mention anyone. Because today is a joyous day. You get yourself, good amount off on a fixing or on a oil change. So Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Had to throw that one in. Now, guys, going to open up the floor again. As far as the team goes, what kind of effect do you think this immediately has, and then as the season wears on?
Go ahead, guys.
I guess I'll start.
Yeah, you took 15 minutes off. Let's hear it from you.
Again, we've discussed this. It looks better when there's 4 instead of 5. But I don't know. I think that obviously Vic and Odie will be the biggest beneficiaries right out the gate. Right behind them, I think, are going to be those point guards who are moving the ball and trying to find somebody down low. I think that it's going to allow the offense and defense to play a little bit more aggressively. And that's not to say that they haven't been over the course of these 4 games aggressive on either side of the ball. But I think that it's going to allow you to do things that you weren't able to do, especially with those bigs down low in their aggression. But you also have a guy who's known as a rim protector now, as opposed to Vic and Odie, which not a knock on them. They're just not the same level rim protector.
It's different.
There's not many that are.
Yeah, he's a top 3 rim protector in college basketball. Like, I don't think that's even the question. Is if he's not 1 or 2, like 2 or 3. Like, he is that good at movement, at, like Wes said, just having a feel for how to affect and alter shots. And the other thing that people don't talk about with a guy like him, it's not just block shots. It's 1, altered shots, and 2, how many guys over the course of the season are just going to go, nope, not going in there. Not going to do me any good. It's a very low chance that I'm going to win. I'm not even taking that risk to drive the ball at this dude. And it changes everything defensively. And I know it's the right thing to point out Vic and Odie. It's the right thing to point out Day and Jizzle. For me, CMOS and CJ will see huge jumps because of this. Because those two guys, even if they're not the guy that makes the pass, they see the floor and they understand, okay, he's going to be able to seal on the other side, or he's going to be able to get back door on this guy, and they move it. And the hockey assist, where it's like you're 2 passes away, but you were the one that got the ball moving, boom, and it goes inside, and you get a dunk, or them coming off pick and rolls, like Wes talked about. The defense has to make a decision. Those two guys, you're going to go under on those two guys and let them shoot? No, absolutely not. So I agree, Aaron. But CJ and CMOS, I think, are the maybe long term. Like you said, short term, it's best for those 4 guys. Like long term, man, if CMOS and CJ can really get a rhythm with him when they've got the ball in their hands, whoo, you could really see some offense from this team.
That's really what Wes was saying, though, when he said that the entire team is going to benefit from him being on the roster. I don't think he was giving just some bullshit answer. It was just a matter of the fact that everyone up and down, outside of maybe Josh Reed, who's probably going to lose some minutes on this, but everybody is going to be beneficiary.
Think about yesterday. 2 fouls for Odie in the first 3 minutes. That can happen against NKU. If that happens in a Big 12 game and you get 2 fouls just like that off the bat, that first half is going to be tough for you to continue to hang around. And Wes will have to probably force his hand to get another big out there if they're getting beat up a little bit on the boards. And then all of a sudden,
now.
Yeah, right, exactly. Now there is no worries. Now, game 1 and game 2, there had to be a little like internal thought for Vic Locken. Every time that someone comes, I can't help too hard because I know that we're pretty thin in the front court now. And if I pick up fouls, I'm gonna now it's just like everyone plays freely. And you mentioned Aziz was 3rd in the country in block shots per game last year, behind 2 really good shot blockers. He was, top, what was it, 5th, I think, in the country in block percentage. The closest that the Bearcats had was Vic. No, he was 29th in the country in block percentage, but closest was Vic, 106. Now you add those 2 together. He just had really good stats. Doesn't hurt you with bad shots. He's a guy that just, sometimes if you get big news like this, it could be a player that's like kind of a volume scorer, or someone is expecting to kind of throw off roles a little bit. That's not Aziz at all. It's like a guy that you can plug in and immediately he's just going to help out on both ends of the court.
And everybody on the team is like,
right, exactly. We're going to be Showtime right now. Like Chad, you weren't lying. You go back and you watch any Aziz highlights, and it's it is truly like, and Wes was talking about how his foot positioning and whatnot gave a good coach speak answer. But a lot of these Utah Valley oops that these players were throwing up were literally just like
terrible.
F it, Aziz is down there somewhere. He's going to be able to go up and get this. They aren't looking at making sure his feet are in good position. They're just lobbing it up near the rim. And sure enough, Aziz threw down most of them. And a lot of them, he threw down reverse dunks. It's just insane. And
well, they were so bad by the time he caught it, he had rotated backwards.
Right, exactly.
Connor wants to know how many years they have. Aziz and Jamil both have 2 years to play 2.
Right.
So if they get cleared this year, they can play this year and next year. If they don't get cleared, if Jamil doesn't get cleared this year, he can play just next year. That's one of the other reasons that it was kind of important that, they didn't have a year to waste. There wasn't a throwaway redshirt year, really.
Right.
So 2 years to play 2 is my understanding. Does Aziz allow them to full court press? Yeah, I mean, you should now. Like, if you got, look, man, a press, like if you want to go press,
Right.
Day or Jizzle, either one, Dan, John Newman, Odio Guama, Aziz at the rim. How do you beat that pressure? How does that pressure
Very
not speed you up?
frustratingly.
So yeah, definitely. How would I defend this squad now? Let's see it play out. I wanna see it develop still a little bit. I think they've been running good offense. The points per possession numbers against Northern were like 1.5 in the second half, almost 1.4 in the first half. Against a matchup zone, that's very hard to do.
Yeah.
Do I see Skillings coming off the bench all year? Yeah, probably. I think they like having his pop off the bench. Look, man, you know how long it's been? Like, if this, and now it probably is going to stick. How long has it been since you could say Cincinnati had players to the level of Dan Skillings and potentially CMOS coming off the bench?
Yeah,
it's been a long ass time.
That's the thing, and with Jizzle, who's getting better each game that he plays, it's just,
and now probably Odie moving to the bench.
Yeah, I would be interested to see how West handles the starting lineup on Wednesday.
I'm gonna say this confidently. There have been a couple years in the not so distant past that if they ran out a starting lineup of Jizzle, Dan, CMOS, potentially either CJ or John, like when you start really like doing the math on the numbers, and maybe like if they get Jamil cleared, like you're talking about that would have been better than the starting five for a decent number of the past 4 or 5 years,
right?
Dating back to the nightmare in Nashville.
Yep.
I like Dan off the bench. A lot actually. Like I really like his pop, and he's different than everybody else on the roster. Right? There's nobody on the roster like Dan. So when you bring Dan in, a defense kind of has to like, okay, wait, we got to readjust to figure out this guy coming into the game.
Yeah, the whole rebounding thing, I think, is just Dan blowing up with his rebounding. Obviously, he did really well with it last year as well. And now you just add Aziz to the mix, and rebounding will be just, it's phenomenal. What are we laughing about?
Does Aziz allow Prater to get more stats?
Yes. Everything's coming up yes today.
Excellent jab, Natalie.
That is an A++, not an A+ question, an A++ question.
Everything coming up yes there. Man. Yeah, the ovation that Aziz will get, whether it is checking in.
I would guess he doesn't start tomorrow night or Wednesday night. Yeah. I would guess that.
But man, it's gonna be some levels of excitement. I mean, just some real quick stuff about Aziz. It was averaged 11.5, 10.4, 2.9, 1.2, 11.5 points, 10.4 rebounds, 2.9 blocks. But man, you look at some of his games, and it's astounding how good he was in certain spots last year. The fact that you average a double-double, we all saw when Trey was able to do that his senior year. I mean, some of the stats that he's put up, like a 23-point, 13 rebounds, 7 assists game with 2 blocks and 2 steals. Like, come on, man. And I know it's Utah Valley and whoever they played in these games, but he came to play, and he's a guy that's just it's a phenomenal addition. Phenomenal. And he shot 66% from the line, or 63.6% from the line. So he gets fouled a bunch, and it's not like you're sending a terrible free throw shooter to the line either. So it's going to be very exciting to see the rotations and the roles and the different added advantages that this team has.
Yep. Josh is going to have to, but like now, Josh's going to have to bust his ass. Can he get more valuable minutes? Yeah. Like that's how it works. Like it legitimately, I can promise you guys with this staff, that's how it works. If you earn your way up the roster, you're going to play. Like if you show you give value and you can help the team, you're going to play. So, yeah, I mean, Josh is the easiest one to look at and say this kind of squeezes his minutes, but that'll be up to Josh. If he can start hitting some shots, he helps in a lot of different ways. He's got great feel. He can rebound. He starts knocking down threes, and he has a higher value.
15 points, 12 rebounds, 4 blocks against the Bearcats last year. I mean, come on. If you watched that game and you weren't like, wow, this 55 guy, he is something. But here we are now. Yeah, Chad, it's just funny, like walking yesterday, we're like, because you've got to really tip your hat to Wes. In every post-game presser, he said all the right things. And
he didn't go overboard. He didn't come off as like an ass.
Right.
But he made his point.
Yeah, exactly. And to the point where, like, you say those words, and then everyone else, that's going to rile people up and get the support added on top. So you just have to say the right thing. Everyone else will do all the work on the side, and then you put together what you need in order to go and make that next move and make it happen. That's the steps to making it work. And Aaron, you're getting ready to say something here. What you got?
Yeah, he made a great point. He read the mission statement, which I brought up here a week ago, and Chad yelled at me that had no bearing in any point whatsoever. But alas, 6
You
days
think they
later,
did that because of their mission statement? No, today proved my point, Aaron. It's not about the mission statement. It's about the lawyers.
Quite the knockout punch. When you read the mission statement the day before. Sent him reeling.
No, we're suing you at 2 o'clock is what sent him reeling.
I made a point, and I made a point, and he made the same point. It was very odd. Very odd how well we think alike, Coach Wes Miller and I.
There could be 2 different movies written about this same situation. And in one movie, it could be that the reading of the mission statement really fired everyone up and led to the NCAA approving the waiver. There could be a movie about that. So, yeah.
It'd be a bad movie, but there'd be
they had to stand up for the student athletes. They realized that when he read their own mission statement to them.
It would be rated PG and would be on Lifetime Network, and we would all watch, so.
Call me naive, but like it can't be that much longer until Jamil gets his. Like,
well, it's gonna be because they haven't even decided on his appeal yet.
But like, if it even gets denied the first time, you just be like,
no. So
you just did
denied
to
the first
same
time.
guy.
It's been denied the first time. They have submitted an appeal, and they're waiting on a decision on the appeal.
Okay,
that has already happened.
Aziz appealed twice, right?
For Aziz, yeah, that had already happened for Aziz.
Okay,
so
which is a puzzling thing within itself, man. What are we doing, man?
There's
which I guarantee you will be the now very justifyingly topic in the post-game presser on Wednesday will now be what the heck are y'all doing with Jamil now?
I mean, they've already dug themselves a hole to the point where if they had any brains and they ever wanted to save their little integrity they had and smarts, they would have to just they would have to approve everyone in the whole system. Like there's no way you can go into these.
We don't know if this is the case with Jamil or not, but what I do know and what Aziz referred to when his appeal was denied is that he had multiple medical mental health professionals deemed that the transfer was for the he had a mental health condition. The transfer to be closer to his girlfriend's family in West Virginia and his American family in Akron was something that was good for his mental health. That Cincinnati had the mental health procedures in place that when he arrived, like he would be going into the right level of like care. And when you're arbitrary on that, like there's no chance that you will hold up in court because they will just submit the evidence in the case. This is a clear student athlete that has documented mental health issues that he has actively and diligently seeked out help, seeked out information. Like he has followed every step of the way. We don't, because we haven't heard anything from Jamil yet, we don't know a lot about his side of things. But from what we know from Aziz, they know they can't take that to court, Ryan. They got no shot.
Yeah.
For a bunch of, stuffy 70-year-olds to say, well, yeah, we're looking at all these mental health things, but we don't think we've decided that it doesn't meet our criteria. Give me a break. Give me a break.
Well, it, like you're saying, and he mentioned both Aziz and Jamil met the 7 criteria. So it seems pretty open and shut. You know what I mean? So I'm there with you.
It's just dumb.
It is. Absolutely is. But yeah. Okay.
We'll see. I mean, that's we'll find out. I don't ever assume anything with the NCAA. Brent knows. I told him that yesterday. Like I just don't. I think I know how it's going to go, but I will never confidently say it until we get the news that we got today.
Yeah.
That he was cleared. Like
see my Candyland ass, Kool-Aid sipping, optimist drinking, want to be happy man all the time, said, Chad, I think the NCAA is going to cave eventually.
Maybe. Like I was like, maybe they do. Like they have in the past.
Little did you know, Chad, I knew it was going to happen. It was
take your victory lap.
Someone from the future said, hey, Brent, here we go.
We're all about victory laps here.
Right. Well, when they're warranted, yes. Do a light jog.
Absolutely.
A light jog.
Look, man, I've taken more than my fair share. I'm not gonna.
It was awesome to watch, and Aaron, I will give you props. It was awesome to watch Wes have the mission statement right there on the podium with him. This is not just like grasping for straws out of thin air. It's literally being well versed and knowing what you're talking about every time that you open your mouth about it, and that had to do a lot with everything on top of it too. So
that piece of paper was a prop. It had the mission statement on it.
Yep. I didn't mean prop. I meant like just like having it written.
No. It was he went to a website or had somebody go. Aaron and I speculated on this the other night. You could see through the paper. It wasn't a stat sheet. You could see the color on the paper. You knew it was something. He had somebody go to the NCAA website, find the mission statement, print that out for me, and have
I saw it happen. I saw it happen. Someone, really? David ran in, grabbed a piece of paper and a pen and ran out. So, hey, props to everyone involved. But you know what? An elite shot blocker, man, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. Some of these blocks he does.
Wolfie wants to know the important question: does this make them a tourney team?
I think yes. I mean, I think that has to be the expectation because
I want to see him play a little bit. I want to see how it looks, but I think it makes them. I think it makes them a team that can very realistically be 500 in the Big 12. And if you're 500 in the Big 12, you're playing in the NCAA tournament.
this might be the equivalent of like adding I mean, people love talking about recruiting and getting high level recruits. Like this is like adding a 5-star that's already seasoned. Like that's what it is. It's you're adding like Duke. Like if you go back and you look at Aziz's recruitment, the two schools that were immediately mentioned along with Cincinnati were Duke and Gonzaga. Like just let that sink in a little bit. You know, both you search his name on Twitter, it's Duke and Gonzaga people tweeting saying this would be the perfect center for Proctor to throw alley-oops to next year. And it's big time. And you should be excited, fired up, 2 feet in, 10 toes down, 1/3. Never mind. I'm gonna leave that there. But yeah, reason for excitement. Wednesday's a big one. Georgia Tech coming to town. Damon Stoudemire. They actually just had a freshman big cleared. I don't know what he was being held out for, but supposedly he's a talented freshman big. So we'll see what they bring to town.
What were your thoughts on Northern? Aaron and I's thoughts are on the nightcap from last night, but what were your thoughts on NKU? And if Ryan watched, what are his thoughts on the NKU game?
Yeah. Ryan, you want to go first?
I was in Brown with my family, with my brother. I was hanging out with the fam. Didn't have time to watch the game. Sorry. That's why
we're not talking about West Virginia.
I know it was both. It was an extended stay.
I feel you. Well, it's a good one. You should go back and check it out. Just don't watch the first 10 minutes.
Okay. I saw the final score and I was like, all right, like thank God we avenged the debacle of last year, and we did it in a good way. When you're scoring 90 points, you're winning by damn near 30. I mean, some good stuff had to have been happening.
Yeah. For me, the main thing is that like good teams have numerous people that can make winning plays at different times throughout games. And the beginning of the game, it sucked. It did feel like, God, how come we can't figure out Northern Kentucky? It was giving off those vibes. But Taylor Swift sang Travis Kelce touchdown. But anyway, then all of a sudden the offense started clicking. Defense was really amped up, I thought, as well. And you saw that run at the end of the first half where Day Thomas is literally popping off the page for me. He's that guy right there is going to be a phenomenal player.
That was the Day and John Newman show, that 2-minute stretch that they
unbelievable
hit a 12-2
defense.
run.
Yeah, great offense leading off of that. And then, of course, Deanna mentions it, that Dan Skillings. He came in, and I tweeted it. I said, he's playing extremely active. He got like 2 boards and hit a 3 and got a put back within the first 5 minutes that he was out on the court. And I mean, that's just what Dan Skillings brings. And his 3 was falling. He was getting super, using his athleticism in the right places, choosing when to attack at the right time. I thought he had a great all around game, but kind of a weird game too, where at one point you're like, what's like when he threw up that 3-pointer with the shot clock going down, you're like, what is Dan doing? And then you look up and you're like, well, he's got 14 and 7. So you know what? It's fine. We'll take that little errant shot. But the way that he was able to kind of have a huge effect on the second half as well. I mean, you just saw what Dan can potentially lead into. And the fact that you have 2 different players recording double-doubles. Vic had double-double back.
Almost, yeah.
But 2 different players having a career high in points in back-to-back games. And then you have a third player who scored 20 points in the game on Sunday.
His career high, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is. The team shows you things where you're like, wow, this
career
is a
high
really good
at
team.
UC, not career high.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
career
high is at Division
UC,
1.
Yeah. And then Vic had it.
Career high.
Vic had it last game, and then Dan.
But it's almost like, Brent, I think you would agree. This has been best case scenario of what I've talked about and what we've talked about in terms of the offensive ability of this team and the ability to spread it around and the ability not to rely so heavily on, if X and Y don't happen,
right.
Z doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And this doesn't feel like a team that, at least to this point, is going to fall into those ruts where one guy goes cold for 2 weeks or 2-3 games and the team can't recover.
Right. Yeah. You saw as well. It's like, CJ had those spurts in the beginning of the year where he's just knocking down threes at a premium. Then all of a sudden it's he's kind of getting guarded. Teams are game playing against it. So what does Day do? He gets into the lane, finishes, knocks down shots of his own. What does Vic do? Dominate the paint because people are probably a little afraid to help down, and also because you're figuring out how to beat the zone and figuring out how to beat your man as well. It's crazy. And CMOS was the one heading into the season where everyone thought he's going to be the leading scorer. He's going to be the guy with the ball in his hands the most. But you know what? He had 7 assists on Sunday, a quiet 7 assists. Had a really good pass on a backdoor cut that finished with the lay-in by Jizzle. It just seems like all the different pieces are slowly fitting together. And like Wes said, we're only 4 games in. The competition hasn't been, high caliber yet, but you're going to face the Georgia Tech team on Wednesday where you get another chance to improve and see how you do. And then you hit the road for a true road game. And so, it's going to be growing up quick, but I think that you look around the country, there's a lot of different teams out there, teams that are in the top 25, teams that expected big years where after first 3 or 4 games, their fan base is a little queasy at times. And that just hasn't been the case with Cincinnati so far.
No, they've looked good. They've shared the ball. They've been unselfish. Nobody is making the ball stick. Nobody is making, kind of the action, as Aaron would call it, difficult to watch.
Yeah. Because
one guy is standing there dribbling the air out of the ball for 8 seconds, 12 seconds, whatever the case may be.
Right.
That's the fun part. The fun part is this is just the tip of the iceberg for, as Wes mentioned, a team with 6 right now, 7 new players in the program.
Yeah.
They're not even close to hitting on all cylinders yet.
No.
So,
I mean, Chad, look in Bloomington, the Indiana Hoosiers. I know you don't really follow them too closely, but had a good team last year.
To give Keegan hell.
Yeah, right. Had a good team last year, went to the tournament. This year, they added a 5-star transfer, they added a 5-star prospect, they added good pieces, and they had experience returning. And they're all saying, it's going to take a little time for everyone to mesh. It's going to take a little time for everyone to gel. They just played their toughest game against UConn. They played a Louisville team who, obviously, Louisville is whatever they are, maybe one of the more confusing teams in the country at this early point. But they're a team that's trying to figure it out, but not doing it in a way that shows promise to you.
They're not sloppy in their development.
Right.
Which is
right.
good.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, Cincinnati's they're showing it the right way, I guess. And I guess it's, it's interesting to see how like John Newman fits seamlessly without being like, it doesn't have to be anything volume. And people are mentioning the addition of Aziz kind of hurting Odie. I think it helps Odie, if I'm being honest, because it allows Odie to go in and just play, balls to the wall, full of energy.
I mean, you're right on that.
And be an absolute disruptor and not have to worry about foul trouble, not have to worry about, making a tough decision that all of a sudden leads to him having to, sit on the bench because, there is another option that can go in and fill good minutes until he's ready to go out there and just kind of wreak havoc and to do the things that he's good at doing. So I don't know. I'm probably over my skis, but I think this is an okay time to be over your skis. But it's exciting, very exciting. Oh man,
are you okay? Do you need a cigarette break or
not the cigarette smoker? But yeah, I'll today I might
shower.
Today I might take one. I don't know.
Throw a lip in.
A little
lip in.
Man, that's fantastic, Royer. Man, a Zen Bandego, baby. There we go.
Jesus.
But yeah.
Oh man.
Good time to be a Bearcat, man. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, you need a towel.
I am sweating a little bit.
You're worked up,
but in a good way. Yeah. So game on Wednesday, Georgia Tech, 137th in Ken Palm, so the highest rated team. But as Wes mentioned, it's early in the season. Not necessarily, a dominant team by any means. They just lost to UMass Lowell, 74-71 at home. It's one of those John Ross things, the epitome of brutality, losing a bye game. So, they beat Howard 88-85. Ken Palm's got Cincinnati, a 12-point favorite. I don't know. It's going to be a rockin' Fifth Third Arena on Wednesday night if I had to guess.
Look, based on the numbers for this podcast, people are excited. Especially, it's been a rough season for the other team on campus. And this team through 4 games has looked good. They erased a very ugly memory from a season ago on Sunday. And then on Monday, you get Aziz. Okay. It feels like, it's one thing if you have a gun, but you don't have any bullets in the gun.
Yeah.
When you get all the bullets in the gun and you finally fill that clip and you pop it into place, feel pretty good. Not that I'm a gun guy. I don't own a gun. I've never shot a gun.
Hey, man.
But, Royer knows probably. I'm assuming Royer has used a firearm before. Legally, of course. Legally, yes. Of course. But does my analogy make sense, Ryan?
It does.
Now they not only, it's one thing you gotta buy the gun first. You gotta have the gun. But then you also have to have bullets in the gun before the gun actually fucking does anything.
Safety's gotta be off, gotta have one in the chamber.
Right.
You want to get more detail?
Levels to this.
Yes, sir.
But it's an interesting night just because it does change. It answers, if you went to talk about this team after 4 games, almost all of the questions are answered by Aziz Bandaga.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Post depth, rim protection. Can they add more of a press and be more of a team that can disrupt you? How do the rotations exactly? Some of them still felt a little wonky. They were trying to figure out which pieces fit. Now, you should have a pretty good idea. You don't have to own a gun or shoot a gun as long as you've seen John Wick. Fair enough.
I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express in 2023. That has to count for something.
Yeah, I texted yesterday. My buddies. All I said was that I said this team is in Aziz away from being pretty damn good. And then
let's be honest. Am I saying they're going to be a top 10 team in the country? No. Am I saying they're going to be a top half of the Big 12 team? At this point, I don't know because they're 47th in RP or in Ken Palm, and they're 8th or 9th, somewhere 7 through 9 in the conference. I know there were 3 teams that were all 45, 46, 47 or whatever. But they're in the bottom half of the conference and they're inside the top 50 in Ken Palm. So does that mean they're going to be a top half of the Big 12 team? I would like to think that they can develop into that. Absolutely. But at worst, it means they're right there with that group that is going to be playing for the NCAA tournament. And then year 3, entering the Big 12, you would hope that was where it was at. Now, we try to be realistic. Without Aziz, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a lot of games in the Big 12 that, and there still are going to be a lot of games in the Big 12 that are decided in the final 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to figure out a way to win 2, 3, 4 of those games if you want to be a team that's over 500 and playing for something. So but this certainly changes the math.
Yeah,
it changes the equation drastically.
Yep, it's big time. But yeah, on Wednesday we'll get a chance to see how it looks out on the court. So that should be a lot of excitement there. You guys want to timestamp B-ball real fast before this?
We're going to the mailbag after this, or
I just touch on the other 3 topics really fast, and then we'll roll in this.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They service over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next-day deliveries. They provide a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick, 513-470-2029, reference Bearcats, for 20% off your first month of purchases. And we'll get to this next segment. We'll have it sponsored by Home Field Apparel. Our great friends at Home Field Apparel, their Black Friday promotion is live. All you have to do at checkout, enter Black Friday, one word, all caps, 20% off site-wide. Bomber jackets, hoodies, joggers, quarter zips, you name it, they have it. They've got all of the old school Bearcat gear, logos, the cats, the angry dunking Bearcat, the block you see, you name it, they've got it. So code Black Friday, site-wide, everything on the site, 20% off. Home Field Apparel. It has been great being partners with them, and get yourself some Christmas goodies.
Here we go. Yes, I got word that someone saw somewhere the bomber jacket
bomber already,
on Sunday, and they said A plus out there.
Yeah,
no doubt. Real fast, you guys touched on it, and then Aaron, you also touched on it on your celebrity fill-in on Sunday morning's Bearcat brunch. But 42-21, 634 yards to 344 yards. You can kind of break it down. It looked like one of those games where, like, throughout the season, where Cincinnati just dominated.
Did you think I was kidding?
No,
I don't want to talk. I burned the tape, Brent. I burned the tape.
I agree. I'm literally going to pass it to the guy below me, and then we're going to move on. I
texted him and told him to burn the tape too, so he didn't even watch the tape.
Okay, fair.
I don't want to talk about it. We've had 3 shows already. 3
Shimon Mateer enters the transfer portal today.
There we go. There we go.
It seems like it has hit this point of the season all across the country as well. First off, initial thoughts on that, Royer. Obviously, he was your teammate as well. He wasn't, was he?
He was.
Redshirt year.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's a mix of the current status of college sports with the transfer portal, obviously, and it's also the growing pains of a new coaching staff, where it doesn't only affect year 1; it's going to affect year 2 and potentially year 3 with just kind of those holdovers from one staff to the other. But Shimon obviously had some very, very bright moments this year. He was a fan of the pod, always in the chat saying what's up to you, Royer and Chad. And it just, it sucks to lose him, but probably it's just kind of status quo for what sadly is the situation going on in college sports. But I mean, happily in some ways too, when it comes to allowing players to do what they need. But initial thoughts of that, Royer, and kind of just thoughts of, as certain seasons hit this point where some programs it's heading towards trying to really do well in the bowl game, and some programs it's every individual figuring out what's next.
Yeah, I was surprised. It was not something I was expecting, especially how he was kind of coming on as the season developed. I thought it would be a guy that, this coaching staff kind of would find every way to not let that happen. But when a guy has his mindset, sometimes you can't really convince him otherwise. I don't know if Shimon feels like that he doesn't fit into this offense well, but he seemed to be having some good success. I don't know if there's other teams in his ear that maybe he wants to win more. And, when you lose as many games we lost this year, it's probably hard to believe the coaches sometimes that next year is going to be any better. But kind of speaking on the transfer, I'd like to see guys, at least wait till the last game's over. That would be my one knock on him. I don't know the logistics of things, but it can't be something that would just finish out the season. We're not going to a bowl game. You got 1 week left. I don't know if there was a falling out, but that would be my one kind of critique of how he's handled this, especially for a guy who was always a great team guy, at least from when I was on the team. So, But yeah, the process is it's haywire. It's literally free agency now. So it's good and bad, but
we're in the illegal tampering part of free agency.
Yeah.
The Knights of Gold.
Really,
Is that what you're mentioning?
I didn't say nothing. I don't know.
Well, there are reports that there's just on the X.com, which I hate. Still the name of X.com, but is what it
just
is.
call it Twitter.
That what?
I was worried that the writing was on the wall when he was saying he had song lyrics up from Akon. They got me locked up and won't let me out. And
it's a good song. Maybe he liked it.
Yeah, that timing seemed normal. And look, I'm not going to ever be mad at a kid. Obviously, as we're hoping and rooting for Aziz and Jamil to get here. If he doesn't want to be here, I think kids should be free to transfer if and when they want. But I'm with Ryan as far as just wait until the season's over and then go be a free agent.
I don't know that necessarily it was. I think some of the things that Shaman have been putting on social media drew things to a head. It was like, if you want to go, go. Like we're not gonna force you to play. I don't think it was specifically Shaman being like, I'm not playing another game. I think it was more like, look, if this is gonna happen, just do it. Just pull the Band-Aid off. Like, announce you're going into the portal, and we'll move on to Saturday. So I don't want to paint it as Shaman like begrudgingly stormed out. I want to paint it as he was going to leave. He had made that decision, and it was like, all right, then go. Like, if that's really what you want to do, that's where your heart is at. We wish you well. We will sign your transfer portal entry when the time comes.
Yep. And then, of course, this weekend is senior night. It's got a 7:30 p.m. kickoff, a little nip at night for year one of the Scott Satterfield era coming to a close. They put out the graphic of seniors. I don't know if that's everyone who's walking or kind of. I imagine that would be the case. Some seniors listed on the roster that aren't on the picture. Dorian Jones.
Do not assume anything. I know this is what you love to do.
Okay.
Do not assume anything from any of this. There are probably guys that are not on that picture that won't be back. There are probably guys that are on that picture that will. So
okay.
I've had a lot. Like I said,
if you
hooray
graphics seniors,
hooray for graphics interns.
Well, what if the people haven't made decisions?
I know. I know.
Listed on the roster as seniors, but are not on the graphic, you could hit my DMs. I'll let you know.
There are a lot of decisions that haven't been made.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to do something in this, especially still with the COVID year floating around. Like it's very hard to anticipate something like that until the guys sit down and make a decision. We talked about this. Royer knows it. If you would have asked me the day after the Peach Bowl, I was 98.3% sure Kobe Bryant was gone.
Yeah.
Everybody thought it. Everybody. Kobe thought it. And then after the game.
Same with Curtis Brooks and Marcus Brown.
Yeah.
And there's
Brooks,
guys that
Brooks was probably less likely to come back at that point than Kobe, and I was 98.7% Kobe wasn't coming back.
And just so we can give you another bit of, there's guys that are going to want to come back, and the coaches will say, have a nice time. We enjoyed your stay here at the University of Cincinnati.
Right.
So you can't ever be too sure. Chad's right.
So, look, I know everybody wants to look into it, and I get it. Like, it makes sense as a fan. You would say, well, okay, then all these guys are gone next year, or all the guys that aren't on there are coming back, like, for sure. It's all – what will happen is they'll play the game Saturday. Monday, Tuesday, those conversations will start happening. I know I explain this every year, but Monday, Tuesday after the season is the start of those conversations, and we'll see where it goes from there. Thrifty Walrus wants, how many are going to follow? I've said this for how long, guys? If you're a Luke Fickell recruit and you didn't scratch the 2 deep this year, your best interest, unless you just love the University of Cincinnati and you want a degree from the University of Cincinnati, like, if I was one of those guys, I think it would be very telling that I'm from the old staff and I've not moved up the food chain with the new staff in a year. I would think if you look at those guys, you'll see a pretty good number that look to go elsewhere. I know there's a lot of guys that they would like to keep around. Some of those guys might decide, I appreciate the sentiment, but I'm going to go look somewhere else. So
next week, Shema Matera.
Right. Next week, we should start to get a better feel for that. But what do you got, Roger?
I was just going to say that I feel like at least this year, maybe even next year, there's going to be that feeling that you feel like there's a lot of guys coming and going because it's just this new process that we as fans and people who cover the team that we all got to get used to, because this is uncharted territory and it's hard to predict the college football athlete's mind nowadays, man. It's just ever evolving as the process is as well. So it might, there could be things that might look a lot worse than they are, but things just got to kind of settle down and get a better picture on how this whole thing goes, how this whole process goes.
It's not fun.
No, it's crazy, dude. It's good. It's good for the player because, there's a lot of players that get out and prove themselves that we might have never known and get to play in the NFL, like a Brian Cook, for example. But at the other time, it's just it kind of makes it this whole kind of jumbled, still not very controlled mess. And you kind of have there are guys that might just jump ship, and they never really get time to buy into themselves, into a program, to buy into them, and they never really meet their max potential because it's always about, hey, like we got X amount of money and we got X amount of opportunities for here. Like grass is always greener, but you never really know. So you're going to have a bunch of bullshit.
I wonder if that's what happened with Emory, right? Like, it very well could be what happened with Emory.
Yeah. Because you see his decline through his college career, so to say.
He's had moments where he's looked fantastic, and he's had moments where you wonder
after his year in Florida, they're saying he was going to be a first-round draft pick. That's what his ceiling was, and that I'm telling you, stability.
Unfortunately,
matters.
His ceiling had a ceiling fan. His head went right into it.
Yeah, his head got chopped off, man.
Oh, everything's full circle here, isn't it? There we go.
Well, I mean, if you look at the Arizona State mess, like that's as bad as a season can go for.
And that's losing. It's losing a whole year, and it's losing confidence. It's like, it's hard even as a kid. You can't. It's hard to be like, none of that was my fault. It was all because we were a bad team. It's like that is always going to kind of sit in the back of your mind.
Ryan, you're a Browns fan. How many times have they switched offensive coordinators and at the same time quarterback play has struggled? And when you run into that same thing at a lower level, at the NCAA level, I would think that would almost be tenfold.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and it's still the amount of shit you got to learn as a quarterback. And then not only learn it, you got to step up and execute it at a high level because it's a game of inches like we talk about. Inches to make the throw, inches to from a big catch, great throw, or an interception. It's just – and the game's only getting harder.
Hard.
So you got to call more and more complex shit. So
I haven't broken out in a while.
You're a child.
Hard.
What was he saying? Hard?
So there was like 2 summers ago, Huggins was in town, and at that point it was still – if Bob was ever in town for anything, like all the TV stations would show up and
essentially he hadn't yet been fired.
Yeah. No, this was a year before that. And they asked him about it. UC had been accepted into the Big 12. And they asked him about playing like basketball in the Big 12. And he's talking about going to Lubbock for a 9:00 game on a Tuesday night. He's like, you ever been in Lubbock? You ever been in Lubbock, 9:00 on Tuesday? You ever tried to get back home? It's hard. It's hard. It's hard to get back home from Lubbock. My kids don't get to sleep. It's hard. And he said it's hard like 37 times in this interview. So I began mocking it at that point. And I had put it on the shelf. Like I used it. Oh, I beat it to death for 6 months, probably.
Kathy, if you're here, Kathy, you hated it, right?
You buried it. You dug it back up. You buried it again. Yeah, I mean,
I put it on the shelf, and then I brought it back off the shelf. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Kathy Mullaney, come in the chat. Tell us you don't like it.
She usually watches like 30 minutes behind. So as we're doing the mailbag, Kathy's going to be like, I hated that shit.
Speaking of the mailbag, let's go ahead and get one more timestamp. But real quick, Desmond Briscoe was at the game as unofficial visitor, 2025 center from Crispus Attucks. Hey, Aaron, who's the famous Bearcat that went to Crispus Attucks?
I'm writing the quick paper supply.
Okay, sorry. Chad?
I remember a guy. Here's the thing. If it's a guy I remember, like he was really good, but then they won a championship when he left.
So how good was he?
Right? Like he got him to the Final Four, but the titles came.
He walked to the Final Four. So the championship teams could run.
Right. Yes. Oscar was from Crispus Attucks.
There you go.
Legendary, like figure in Indianapolis history, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That Crispus Attucks team was, first.
No. Crispus Attucks. It's a guy.
Oh, Crispus Attucks, the man.
Yeah.
I never met the man Crispus Attucks. I just know about the basketball.
Well, he was. I think he had retired before you were around.
Okay. Fair.
Never mind.
From life.
It's not going where I hoped it would go. We're going to move on. Yeah, from life.
All right.
From life.
Quick paper supply timestamp. Take it away.
I mean, Jesus. You can't just spring that.
And there's going to be a list of visitors coming to town for the game on Saturday. Looks like it's going to be a pretty juicy, some juicy names on there. So stay locked in for that.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies, to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They have been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick, 513-470-2029. Reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom.
All right.
Boom.
Are we doing the home field mail?
Aaron, you didn't text me the logo up today. I was blown away.
What's that?
It got pinned.
I pinned it.
I
was on the website. I was busy. I was on the website. I saw it, so I pinned it.
I look forward to that text from you on Mondays, Aaron. I didn't get it.
Well, now I won't pin it anymore. If that's something special between you two, I won't invade.
He says,
invade your space.
I say, let's go.
All right. Well, then I'm out.
I don't care.
I'm out.
I don't care. Jesus. Well, here we are at the 2-hour mark, starting the mailbag.
All right, well, then fire the question out, Mr. Time Clocker.
When Vegas put the early over/under at 4.5 wins, do you remember your first reaction when we started the season 2-0? And the line briefly moved to 6. When the line briefly moved to 6.5 wins, do you remember your thoughts? Ryan, we'll start with you.
Yes, it probably went really similar to the way it went when I saw Brent and you two before the Miami game, where my exact words I think to all of you were, "We're gonna be rich." And that was what went through my head.
Didn't it start at 3.5?
13.5?
I don't know. Yeah,
it was a lot.
I just remember me and Brent dapped up and whispered to each other, "We're gonna be rich."
I said first 10 rounds that Murphy's on me after the game, baby. We're gonna be rich.
Literally, man. We might as well just be doing Murphy's for the hot dogs at that.
I know that I still went there just to get hot dogs. That's it.
Poverty hot dogs, just like this poverty bet that went in for us.
Plot twist: those hot dogs have been there since you were in school, Ryan.
Yeah,
they're just still rolling around.
Hey man,
keep them hot enough.
Yeah. Hammered 4.5, hammered 5.5, whatever. Next question.
Oh, you got a question coming, Brent. You got a question coming.
Cool. Let's see it. Bring it.
All right. Rapid fire individual questions to poke some fun at this season. Oh my God, I already saw this. I don't know how to answer this. Aaron, would you rather rewatch each of our 8 losses in a back-to-back marathon, or make the round trip drive from Athens to Cincinnati where you have to blare Taylor Swift? Well, I will take the round trip drive because it's only 3 hours.
Shorter.
Well,
it's shorter.
2 hours each way, 2.5 hours each way.
Let's say 5. That's 5. 8 times 3, 20. That's a day. That's a full day. Over a full day.
I mean, does ESPN Plus, when you rewatch it, do they still air commercials in commercial breaks?
Yeah. Okay. So it's 15 hours.
You can fast forward.
Double.
Ugh. I'm good.
Here's the funny thing: if you listen to Taylor Swift for 5 hours, it's going to get in your head, and the next time you hear it, you're going to be bopping to it a little bit.
You're going to love it.
Scrape my eardrums out with a grapefruit spoon.
All right, what's your answer?
Brent, on a scale of 1 to 10, how close have you been to saying you have a wedding instead of having to cover this team?
I've already done it numerous times, so 10.
They were good. No, he means faking a wedding.
Yeah. Faking.
It's wedding. Wedding.
Yeah.
How many times
Chad,
did you have
a wedding?
I have
a wedding. I won't be able to be there this week.
Oh man. Well, actually, I did just have a wedding come up this Saturday, so I will not be there. So there you go.
No, you have to be. No. There's no getting out of this one. You have to be there this week.
All right, Royer's question. Go.
Royer, what has the general vibe been when speaking to your former teammates about this team? Do they eventually think it will get better? Also, would you rather rewatch every loss or have to be thrown into the fan completely sober 10 times?
Oh shit. The vibe has been acceptance of the suck and not very optimistic about the
Look,
future.
guess what? At 2-9, nobody's optimistic about shit, Royer.
No. Yeah,
3-8, whatever. 3-8. My bad.
Yeah.
My bad. I robbed him of a win.
Yeah. And I would, dude, I'm telling you, those fans can be brutal, and without a couple little armor plates of beer around your head, I don't know if it's good.
You're watching the games?
I'm gonna do the fan though. I'm gonna.
Was that a subtle Steel Reserve reference? The armor plates.
I don't know what that is.
No, he's talking about on the fans.
I'm talking about Steel Reserve being one of the worst malt liquors I've ever had. Chad, is there a part of you that is laughing at the fact that all of the new Bearcat podcast sites jumped into the game when things were good, and now they have to deal with tough times like this.
Life's a bitch. Then it comes at you fast.
Hey, now. Here we go.
Lions do not concern themselves with the opinions of sheep.
Woo! A warrior
Unless
does not need a weapon.
Unless
A warrior
it's hungry.
is a weapon.
I just
hungry,
saw this comment.
Unless it's hungry, and then the lion eats the sheep's face off.
Ah, yes. There you go.
One of the two.
Aaron was listening to Taylor Swift, and at minute 45, he crossed over the yellow line, never to be heard from again.
Well, if you do that and you are heard from again, you can head to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Danco Joe got your back.
Did Brent lose more money betting on? Did Brent lose more money betting on UC football this year, or the singular game time bet against Chad?
Ooh, good
You
question.
$1,000.
Good question.
I don't
you know
know.
what? I won a lot of money that Pittsburgh game. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah,
I won. I won a good
and
amount.
EKU as well, and UCF. But yeah, other than that, it was.
After Miami, I was like, I'm out on this. I'm not.
Did you lose more than $1,000 though, Brent? Is the question.
You know what? Yes, but you have to remember the wins. You can't remember the losses. It's short-term memory when it comes to this game that we play.
You're the most long-winded person I know.
And by the way, I'm never going to allow you to pay off that bet because I always want to have it to hold over your head.
Hey, you know what? That's fine. That is okay.
Because I don't need the $1,000. I don't want the $1,000
today as well. So
I just want. It's like the slap bet in How I Met Your Mother.
Right. Okay.
I just want to have it to have and hold and take for walks.
I'll be here for it. How about that?
All right. Over under 1.5 student athletes that were on the senior day poster are back repping Cincinnati next year.
We're not allowed to talk about that, Merc. Next question.
I'll go over. I won't talk about it, but I'll say over. But I don't know anything, but I'm guessing.
Next question.
Okay. What are your odds Radosevic or the Godfather catches a pass this weekend?
0.01%. Slightly better than a chance Royer catches a pass this weekend.
Okay. So you're saying there's a chance.
10,000.
I would love to see those odds. Maybe put a little bit of money on it. Sprinkle a little bit.
I would I would try to throw a touchdown pass to Dante if you had the chance. Kathy! She made it.
You mean in that awesome package we used versus Miami?
Yes.
At one point in time in this show, we had Wes Miller on.
What is she answering?
All right.
We talked about her 30 minutes ago. I said that. In 30 minutes, Kathy is going to show up and comment.
In the middle of the mailbag.
She watches 30 minutes behind.
Any likelihood of the wide receivers to use their COVID year, Braden Smith or Xavier Henderson in particular?
I don't think Smith has one. I think this is his 6th year. I think he's out. I think Xavier has one. We'll see.
He wasn't on.
That's going to depend on draft grade and a lot of things. So I couldn't answer that question with any actual intel. I can't answer it that Braden Smith will not be here because I don't believe he has a COVID year. I think this was year 6.
That's the end of the football mailbag. Moving
Henderson
into the
wasn't
basketball
on the
mailbag.
draft.
Do want to point out thank you to 100. We've never had 150 people here in the mailbag. It's unbelievable that there are 150 people here.
Good day to be a Bearcat, man. Good day to be a Bearcat.
I think they've left their computers just running.
I don't think so, Ryan. I mean, Ryan.
All right.
I think they like us.
Any info you can share on the recruitment of Davion Thomas? Seems like a great get so far? Who was lead recruiter? What other schools were heavily after him, etc.?
I honestly don't fully remember. Like there was one other. Brent, you probably remember better than I did. It came down to UC and one other Power
TCU?
5. It was somebody. I think it was somebody out. Somebody that has been.
For some reason, TCU's popping in my head.
I don't know.
West Virginia was upset about it, right?
No, it was West Virginia.
Yeah,
it was.
Wow,
West Virginia was.
Aaron.
Yeah.
Pulling something. There you go, bud.
As soon as he said it, I knew he was right. West Virginia was definitely heavily involved. It was a guy that Cincinnati saw at one of the like while there is AAU going on in the summers, there's also JUCO events that are showcases for guys that are maybe slipped through the cracks and due to COVID and bad grades. Davion talked about that. He kind of slipped through the cracks, and they found him at one of those events. And I just remember the buzz almost immediately of like, this kid might be special. Like this kid might be legit. And then, they kept tabs and they went down to Kilgore and watched him. And they became, just as a staff, the more that everybody saw him, and then you start to get watching him play some games. It's like, man, I think this guy can really, really, be a high-level Big 12 starting point guard. And they pushed harder than anybody else did and got the job done. I mean, he talked about it through his commitment that, like, the staff did a great job recruiting him and selling him on this was the place that he was supposed to be. So identification, man. Like, go find the type of guys you're looking for, recruit them hard, and land them. That's my suggestion.
Hat tip to Terry Nelson for mentioning it on the broadcast, and it stuck out to me as something worth noting, and it has been in my head since. So,
Texas A&M,
actually,
Kansas State. There
you're
you
bound
go.
to
Kansas State was the one that was in my brain.
get something.
The purple, yeah.
They were originally watching his teammate, right? No, it was I believe it was a show. Now they might have gone to see Kilgore and like that put him on the radar. But I know the first time they really like dialed in on him was at like the JUCO events are kind of all-star events in June and July. You're not playing with the team. They have like the top 75 or whatever JUCO prospects show up, and they put them all on teams and they run an event kind of based on that. So there might be a little bit of truth in that, but I know like when they started to get serious, it was from the spring and summer stuff that was more individualistic. And a lot of places, a lot of staffs just send their coaches, they'll send a coach to that event for that reason. Just watch. And if you see something, let us know. So, yeah, that's kind of how that played out.
This is maybe my favorite question in the mailbag. Curious to see what your guys' answers are. Would you trade Jizzle James 4 years remaining and Day Thomas 2 years remaining straight up for Isaiah Collier? Probably a one and done. Collier 21 points per game, 3 rebounds per game, 3.8 assists per game. And Day and Jizzle James, 23.5 points per game, 4.5 rebounds per game, and 5.3 assists per game.
Probably.
It's a great question. A great question.
I'd probably just take Collier because he's going to be – it's pretty clear, I think, that he's the best player in this class. If you get one of those, even if it's for a year, it changes so much, like, on the recruiting front. Ask me in 2 years, 3 years, I'll probably have a different answer. But seeing what Collier is doing right now at the beginning of his USC career, man, he's as special as we all thought he was. When I started watching him and he was ranked in the 30s, and I'm like, there ain't a point guard in this class better than this dude. Like, we talked about it on here. Aaron and I talked about it. I remember, like, he's better than any other point guard in this class.
We went and
and he might be better than. Yeah, well, that was late, but I'm talking about when I first got eyes on him. and he was number one by the time we saw him, or it was like top 3.
It was important enough that he was at Sycamore that we went and saw him. Like, I mean, that's bananas in and of itself.
High school team got NIL money for that. But just from that first watching him was like, oh my God, like this dude is different. The way he can pass and he's showing more scoring ability now that he didn't fully have back then. I hate myself for saying it because I love Jizzle and Day and what they're going to do for the program over the next 2 and 4 years. But Zay was a big deal. That one stinks. Still,
well, give me Day and Jizzle. They're doing some things, and it's a lot harder to replace 2 dudes than 1 dude. Brent, anything?
Nah, you guys got it.
What would you do? Answer the damn question.
I'm on Chad's side.
Writing your article for Saturday.
What's up? What you say?
He asked if you were writing your article for Saturday.
I actually am writing.
Just getting it out of the way.
I'm writing the intro right now. It was a long, cold night in Nipper City. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I mean, a lot
of thing you maybe have ever said on this podcast.
There are a lot of ripple effects when it comes to adding a 5-star, and not only a 5-star, as Chad's saying, arguably the best freshman in the country, probably the best freshman in the country.
Probably the best, number one prospect.
Right. So
right now in college.
There's a lot of ripple effects when it comes to that, but and yeah. So I mean, you want to side with that, but you know what? I tell you what, Day Thomas is doing things for me, man. He is doing things for me.
Here's the impressive part. There is an impressive part for Cincinnati in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
They went full blast. They knew they needed a point guard.
Yeah.
They went full blast after a guy that shot from fringe 5-star to number 1 player in the class. They recruited him all the way to the absolute bitter end, and they still managed to get Davion Thomas and Jizzle James.
Yep.
I don't think people understand how hard that is to do in recruiting. To put all of your resources seemingly in one basket and still be able to go out and not end up if they pick somewhere else, if you finish second, which it happens a lot. Every kid has a school that finishes second. And go ahead.
I would think the fact that Jizzle is the son of an actual superstar only makes that even more difficult. I'm just saying, I would think that would be even more difficult to continue to put him almost as not. I don't want to say
that's my
second
point.
priority, but
they didn't. They sold those 2 on playing together. Like they were as the decisions were being made.
It's a delicate.
They wanted to play together.
Dance.
And this staff navigated it perfectly. Because to miss out on that, most schools that miss out on an effort like that are in trouble. They're hurting. They're searching in the portal. They're doing whatever. Yeah. And Wolfie's right. They've done a great job of identifying talent before they blow up. Yeah. But, I just think it needs to be mentioned that you have to give them a hat tip for the ability to land the 2 guys that they did, even though they didn't end up getting Collier in the end.
All right. Play of the game. Sorry, Brent. When you want to come back, I muted you. You were breathing awful heavy over there, bud. I think it's just where your mic was. Play of the game. Skilling's Spider-Man dunk, Day-Day's loose ball, dive and possession with the outlet pass to Newman for fast break layup, or the alley-oop pass to Jizzle for the you thought I was going to dunk play. For me, it was the Day-Day loose ball, dive and possession with the outlet pass to Newman. But
I think I agree. Like looking back on it, that was a better play. I still think the Skilling's dunk was the best dunk we've seen this year, but I like the loose ball dive and the outlet pass to Newman for the layup.
That's it as well for me.
Kathy,
The same thing for you,
I'm sure
Brent?
you have been here. Yeah, I'm sorry. Royer, you didn't watch, so you can't comment.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Spider-Man dunk.
It wasn't.
Kathy says she has been here for the whole show, unaware that that comment is 10 minutes after we talked about her commenting late. Kathy, so if you scroll over the screen, like there's a thing that'll come up like a time bar. You're not all the way at the end. You're not live. You're always like 10 minutes behind.
It's okay.
And I know it's
Moving
quick.
on.
It's better content than Kathy's 10 minutes behind. No.
Agreed.
He's a walk-on point guard.
The last question in the mailbag for the basketball portion. Any breakdown on the new walk-on point guard? He scores almost 20 points a game.
I don't know anything about
Preferred
him.
walk-on.
I was
much in the same ilk as CJ Anthony. He's a preferred walk-on.
Who has maybe played 18 minutes, 20 minutes of basketball in his Cincinnati career. I don't have a breakdown.
I do think it's interesting that one of our walk-ons currently has, I believe, the Friar Tuck haircut currently going on.
Don't do that to Chase. Come on, man.
You know exactly who I was talking about.
Don't do that to Chase. That's not nice, man.
He did it to himself. Moving on to the last portion of the mailbag. Rapid fire. This is the Banks portion. Rapid fire. Nashville or Austin. I've not been to Austin. I've been to Nashville, so I'll go to Nashville.
I haven't been to Austin in a while. I have been to Nashville recently. Nashville stinks, so I'll take Austin.
I feel like I'd like Austin more.
What you got, Brent?
Ooh. Royer, go.
I've been to Nashville a bunch of times,
Yeah,
always had
finish
fun,
up
but it's
already.
definitely on the decline.
Interesting. Man, I absolutely love both cities. I have had diabolically fun times in both places.
Illegally fun times.
course.
In both places.
I have woken up in places that you guys need to DM me and ask about because the story is phenomenal. But you know what? It's like Austin is the new Nashville type feel, as you're kind of saying, Royer. I think both of them have their allure. If you like going out on like a lake one night, one day, hit up Austin. If you like just roaming Broadway or whatever it's called, just getting wild and having fun, then it's Nashville. Live music, a little
I think
honky-tonk.
it's the bachelorette parties. Like,
Yeah,
it's too much.
turning to country.
I think it's the
Vegas.
country music.
But there's also a little PTSD from what happened in Nashville that we're not
that's
gonna
a big.
discuss.
Yeah, I don't want to ever go back there. Like, Kelly's sister lives like 40 minutes outside of Nashville, and when we would go see her, we would go to Nashville. And now I'm like, I'm good.
I just won't go inside of Bridgestone Arena. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Key West or Catalina Island? I'm going Key West all day. I love
Me
Key
as
West.
well. I haven't been to either, but I just think
Key West is cool, like more fun. Catalina is very.
You never been to the Catalina wine mixer? Come on, Roy.
I've actually been.
Strictly
Have you been to
80s Billy Joel only.
Have you actually? Has anyone here but me been to Catalina?
I've never been to Catalina now.
Do you guys know what it is?
It's
I don't
where
know
the
what
wine
Catalina
mixer is.
It's like a little island outside of California, right?
It's right. It's LA. It's like right off. Like it's a little island off of LA. There's no roads there. You can't get there outside of like ferry. Like you have to. So it's very pretentious.
Where we're going, there are no roads.
You gotta take a chopper to get there. So
yeah,
or a
Somebody
boat.
call it a
Preferably if your
chopper.
brother if your brother sells helicopters, you got a good setup for a nice little party there.
Oh yeah, prestige worldwide,
redhead or boats and hoes. Redhead or brunette?
Kelly was a brunette, so I'll go brunette. But earlier in life, redheads were a lot of fun, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
Brunette
is the answer. Brent, you got a crazy redhead story.
Oh man, yeah. Yet again, DM me if you would like that info. But, my girlfriend is blonde.
I'm gonna avoid those DMs.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna plead the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I don't have to plead anything anymore.
Follow-up question since this was too fast and Aaron can sense that he has won and the show is ending. I never feel that way with the mailbag. Brent, what was your favorite road trip wedding location and why?
You know, I'm also going to
say. Does that mean you actually had to take a road there, or did you hop a plane?
I love all color hair. Just wanted to shout that out real quick. But anyway, again, real fast. My favorite wedding location, man, Ireland was phenomenal. There's no doubt about that. You know,
it's not a road trip.
You got in a plane. You got in a plane. Yeah. That's not a road trip.
Royer,
read the question.
We've talked about this. What kind of asshole is like, I'm getting married and all of you have to go to Ireland to see it?
It was phenomenal.
That's a special kind of asshole.
France, Spain.
Jesus. What the hell?
Los Angeles.
These were the people he was at the cotillions with, learning how to use which fork to use.
He didn't want to say it, but he's actually been to the Catalina wine mixer.
With prestige worldwide. We're trying to raise the brand. No one's buying in.
Yes, sir.
I mean, they're all great for their own special reasons.
Reed, I know who they're talking about. It's a walk-on point guard that just committed yesterday, and he's a walk-on point guard. I don't know a whole lot about him, other than like I've looked at his stats on the internet. I've never seen him play. He's an unranked walk-on point guard. We love walk-ons here.
That's the mailbag. Get us out of here, Brent. Get us out of here.
Nobody
Brent.
loves walk-ons more than us.
We love them.
And the 132 people who stuck with us for 2.5 hours, you sickos.
Well, they're just happy. Aziz Bandago is cleared. He's eligible. They're happy. They're not sickos. They're happy.
Thank you, Wes, for coming on.
We love Wes.
It's very cool.
Shouts to Wes Miller. Shouts to Danco Joe. Danco Transition Out Care. Shouts to Home Field. Shouts to Quick Paper Supply. Shouts to everyone, man. You know what? It's Aziz Bandago Day, man. Shouts to the roomie. What's up, roomie? Yeah. Oh, yes, whoa. Hey. Hey. All right. Woo.
Yeah,
Shouts to that guy. Shouts to that man.
That's right at the end. On the way out the door.
But hey, you know what? Really good news today. The right thing happened, but there still needs to be one more right thing to happen. So, yeah, it's not over. I think Coach West definitely voiced that opinion. Still free Millie. Jamil Reynolds obviously needs to hear the same good news that Aziz did. Everyone's going to keep pushing for it, and we're going to keep covering it here on BCJ as well. So, if there's nothing else to add, we got a big basketball game on Wednesday, Georgia Tech. Football senior night, nip at night. It was a cold, crisp November night at Nippert Stadium. That's the beginning of my recap of the game. So read that coming out of the woodwork. But you know what? For broadcast partners, good friends, everyone that's here locked in and loaded, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, and Ryan Royer. I am Brent Young yet again. This was a fantastic BBP presented by Bearcat Journal. There it is. .com.
See ya.